Hey friend, welcome back to another week of painting with me, Bailey Tillotson. I'm super excited. We're painting these cute tulips. I'm excited for spring, and this gives me all the warm vibes. So, before we start, I do want to say I just finished this guide to understanding color theory and composition. Disclaimer, this is not everything. It is just what I have found to help me to progress to that next level and just understanding watercolor a little bit more. So if you haven't already, which you haven't because it's brand new, go check it out. I have the link in the comments. But yeah, let's get started. All right, so I did a poll on my Instagram and you guys chose the bottom option for the tulips. So we're gonna do that outline today, but if you want to do that top one, leave a little heart or a nice comment in the comments and maybe we'll do it in the future. So I'm gonna tape my paper down and then we're gonna do the outline and get painting. All right, so I'm just using a number 2 pencil. Yeah, nothing too fancy. Oh my gosh. Okay, so the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm drawing our tulips. So I'm doing this bottom one, and really it's super simple. You just do 2 halves on the outside, and then you'll add like a little petal in the middle on the top. And then for the bulbs, you're just doing like an oval shape with a little bit of like a wiggly line on the top. Then once you're done with that, all you gotta do is add in those stems and leaves. There really isn't a right way to do this, but the one thing I will suggest is work with odd numbers. It just makes that your painting more dynamic and just fun to look at. So as you can see, I have 5 tulips and then 3 leaves. So once you're done with that, we're gonna get started. All right, these tulips are gonna be a mixture of a few different reds, pinks, and oranges. This first flower, we're gonna start with a kind of a little bit of a darker pink, and I'm adding water as I go up the petal. So once you get to the top, you have that extra water and you can just brush it off, and that leaves a nice, pretty gradient from dark to light. And then this is when, if you're wanting to add some interest, you can get a few different colors and just dab them into your flower. And I am using my right side, or my left side, sorry, as the shadowed side. So as you can see, a lot of my darker colors are towards the bottom of the flower and on the side. And then I leave a tiny bit of white space in between each petal just to show that separation. So this one I'm doing more of like a red-orange and doing the same type of technique where I am laying down more pigment at the bottom and then brushing off that color at the top so that there's a pretty, the top's more diluted. So I grabbed a little bit more vibrant of a red and I'm just dropping it into my bulb. It already is looking so pretty. This tulip is going to be more on the pink side. So I'm doing my 2 sides of the tulip petals, and then while that dries, because I don't really want it to blend with the middle, I'm going to start, I'll add some darker colors to the inner parts, but I'm not going in the inside of the tulip just yet. All right, so while we wait for that pink tulip to dry, I'm moving over to the other sides and I'm just putting in a little bit darker of a color to the top of each tulip. The reason I'm doing this first is because watercolor is definitely a waiting game. And I know I've said that before in my last videos, so if you've heard this many times, sorry about it, but it is. So if you are not wanting your colors to blend together, you need to be sure to kind of move around your paper to give each place a spot or time to dry. So as you can see, I did my top little area, and now I'm coming down to do more of like a vibrant red pink tulip. And it looks really beautiful. As you can see, I'm still doing little white lines where the petals are connecting just to show that separation. And so now I've given myself enough time for that pink tulip to dry. Obviously, this is sped up, so that might not be the case for you. So just be patient, wait until your paint is dry before you come back. So I'm coming in, just adding some really fun like purples and pinks, and I have a more vibrant red on the side. And then I'm coming back over to do my last tulip, and I'm mixing a few different colors together. This just adds a lot of really fun. It makes your painting pop when you're using more colors than just one or two. So I have my reds and oranges, and I'll probably even put a little bit of purple into the middle. All right, once we're done with our petals, we're gonna move on to the leaves and stems. So for me, I like to do the lighter green will be for the stems, and then the leaves are gonna be more dark. So I'll be adding some blue and maybe even a little bit of red to make that color just that much more dark. So if you haven't already, grab my color theory worksheet that's linked below, because that will help you when you're mixing these colors. Like if you have a vibrant green and you want to know how to neutralize it or make it more foresty, that can help you, because you're really just adding the complementary color. So I added red to make this dark green here. So yeah, grab that, because it's a very helpful tool when you're painting, especially when you're not super familiar with the color wheel. So I'm starting out with my medium shade green, and I'm coming in adding my darker color to the side. And while it's still wet, I can even mix, I'm going to do a few different colors within our leaf just to add some fun interest. So start with our light color, then you come in with a dark, and I'm even dropping in a little bit of blue, which really looks beautiful. So you can do that. And then you're just adding just a light shade of green to the stems. You remember how I talked about at the end we were going to be able to add some more colors into our tulips? Well, now is the time. So I'm mixing a little bit of purple and I'm just adding it to a few areas that I'm wanting to darken my my tulips more in the shaded areas. Goodness, can't talk. But as you can see, I'm putting it on like the inner parts of the tulip or more on like the bottom right side. And it's just adding a little bit more contrast. So you can do that. It doesn't need to be, you can even use the same shade that you've been using, because when you layer it, it sometimes will give it just enough to make that area pop exactly how you want it. So that will look super beautiful, but I'm also going to be adding in just a little bit more of like a vibrant red to make some of those areas pop. So I'm just adding them in, not everywhere, but just kind of random spots where I'm like, oh, this would be pretty. So once you feel good about where your petals are, or even good with that layer, because layers are good. If you're wanting to stop there and then come back once it's dry again, do that. I'm happy with this though, so I'm going to let it dry and then we're going to move on to the background. Okay, so for my background, I'm going to do blue just because I am wanting some summer vibes. So I don't want a super vibrant blue though. I am going to add some purple, or really just some red to it. I just have purple already mixed, so that's why. But I'm just adding it in and just being careful to not paint where it's still wet. So if your painting is still wet, hold off or leave a little bit of white space in between your sky and your flowers. So yeah, look how cute this is. I'm super stoked. Perfect to, well, it's just perfect. I'm probably gonna just hang it up or gift it to someone with a cute note on the back. So I hope you liked this tutorial. Again, a lot of you have asked for flowers, but if you are wanting something different, leave in the comments what you would like to learn, and I will throw it into the mix of tutorials. And yeah, again, don't forget to grab your free composition and color theory guide. The link is in the comments. Also, if you didn't know, now you know, I do have a watercoloring floral book. So if you like florals, which I know a lot of you do, come check out the floral watercoloring book. It has 25 outlines that I've done myself just for you. And then there's, I think, 14 now tutorials. There'll be more, probably depending on when you watch this, but that go along with the outlines. So thank you for being here. Thank you for all your support, your likes, your subscribes, comments, everything. It makes a huge difference. So I appreciate you, and I will see you next week.